Let me hit this record button. See where we at. Wait a minute.
So it just went on record on Zoom. I just saw the.
Oh, it went record for you? My computer is blowing down. All right, what's up, everyone? My name is Jerron McNeil, and this is the Outcast, the Alpha Podcast Weekly Motivation. I am super excited because I have a special guest today. She is one of my good friends, and we just had met recently, and it's amazing how life works because we met through the Breathe University, and so many stuff is just, it's amazing how like you can connect to different people, especially through online with everything that's going on. So I'm gonna get out of the way real quick. I'm gonna have her introduce herself real quick. She's an amazing friend of mine, and I'm so happy that she's here on my first podcast with a guest. So super excited. So the floor is yours, Overland. I'm getting out the way right now.
Right on, right on. I just appreciate you so much, Jerron. And if you guys don't know Jerron, you are missing out. You need a Jerron in your life. Like he said, we just met not even a week ago. I feel like it's been less than a week. But we met through BU. I reached out to him because I was just like, dude, there's something special about him. I need to connect with him. And we just had a conversation through Facebook Messenger, and now we're good friends, and I consider him my brother, brother from another mother.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and Breathe, for those who may not be familiar with it, I just got into it, but can you explain more on like Breathe University or what it is?
Okay, so what it is,
Overland?
yeah, no problem. What it is to me is that Eric Thomas, if you don't know him, he has been a motivational speaker for years, at least 10 plus years. He created Extreme Execution, where he gathers a bunch of people to coach other people to get to their goals. And so Breathe University is just another outlet for him to create more leaders, so those leaders can create more leaders instead of creating followers. And then what is it? He's famously known for the Guru story. So YouTube that, just YouTube Eric Thomas Guru story, and you will be amazed. But the community BU itself, it's Breathe University, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Okay, good. That's great. And
yeah, I don't know what that is.
So I gotta keep my mic on mute on Zoom. Dang,
Okay.
sorry about that. I don't know why I did that just now.
It's okay.
So yeah, that was some technical difficulties on that. Forgive me.
You're all good.
But yeah, see, that's how amazing things work, because how I always see where life is like the law of attraction. Even you are what you put out, and not only that, but you also attract people who are like-minded and just building up certain things that you're also building, and like going in that path that you have set for your own life. So I think it's like really important for people to help choose and decide like where they're gonna spend like for the rest of their life in, or where they're gonna leave the choices that they have today. Where are they gonna leave that to help influence for the rest of their life?
Yep.
So that's, yeah.
Just to throw this into, brother, that was the main thing I told you when we first met. Was what drew me to you is that it's your youth. Like, I'm at the back end of life, and I shouldn't say back end, but I am like middle back end, and you are just starting. You're starting in life, and so your enthusiasm causes me to just level up. I mean, and I think for like people that are older, they need to see youth as that. They're not just trying to like tell you what to do or be a smart ass, excuse my language, but they really are like people that want to help you. Even though you're older doesn't mean that you don't have that you shouldn't listen to the youth and the young adults, because you never know what they could do to change your life. And that's why I reached out to you.
Thank you, and thank you so much for that, because we're like with the youth, and the wisdom of older people, you can be very successful. Your youth, I tell a lot of young people who are a little bit younger than me or a little bit older than me, like, we are now. We are today. We are today's success. We need to continue to push forward because we're going to be the elders for later on. And people are going to be looking at us, and people are looking up to us every single day and seeing how we're making a difference. So, and for a lot of young people, it's hard. It's hard growing up being young because we got to deal with other people judging us, thinking our minds are still developing. It hasn't fully grown yet. And we're still, we feel a lot of pressure. We feel a lot of pressure from other people, and we still have to be able to develop mental toughness. So I think I tell young people, you got to stay strong. Like, you got to stay faithful. And just from people just pouring into me, I have to show that example that I got to pour back into other people, because that's how the way the circle of life goes. That's the cycle of life. So that's really the reason why I stay enthusiastic, because people have helped me to stay enthusiastic and to stay encouraged.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about what you do over there, and like your purpose, and like what's your vision? What's your vision?
So what I currently do is I'm a caregiver for my brother that has cerebral palsy, and that just means that he has a metal plate in his head, and it helps him with his fluids so that everything runs correctly throughout his organs from his brain all over. And that also causes him to be wheelchair bound. So he's wheelchair bound. He has the metal plate in his head. He had like countless hip surgeries because he can't walk. And so I've done that since he was born. And I find it, I mean, it's hard work, but I get the better end of the stick because I know my blessings have come and will continue to come because of him. He's showed me things that I might not have ever learned because I've had to take care of him. And then aside from that, I take care of my mom. She's more harder patient, but she's just aging. And so I'm taking care of both of them. And then on the side, I've always had a great love for activist work. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. And so I was in love with Martin Luther King, all those leaders. I don't want to name off all of them, but Martin Luther King, the main one, he's the one who made me want to be a humanitarian. And so I just do a lot of community service. But why I love Breathe University is that they're giving me the system, because I was all over the place before BU. And that's why I told you, because you're younger, like you're ahead of the game, man. If I could be 20 and have come into BU, oh my gosh, my life. But you know, everything happens for a reason. God knows what is ours and what we need to do to get to, you know, whatever the spot is.
But that's everything happened for a reason. Absolutely.
I'm trying to test my mic real quick. It's not working.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, thank you for your service and everything. And you know, a lot of things that we do, we may not understand at first, right? A lot of things that we do, we might not understand at first. And when we look back on it, we're like, oh, that's what God was doing all this time.
Yep.
That's what God was working with all this time. That's what God was helping me to develop with all this time. So even a little bit about, for me, when people when it was tougher for me to even handle criticism or people having their own opinions, I used to take it personal. Like a lot of times, it didn't necessarily meant like I was a bad person, because before, I wasn't a bad person. I used to be kind and nice to people, so I didn't understand why some people would try to be mean to me or anything like that. But I realized a lot of people just had some hurt inside, and that was their way of expressing it and communicating it.
Yep.
And I think we have to keep in mind with everything that we do, it's a development for us to build a story in.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, just hold 1 second. Just push it. Just push it. He can't push it. I'm so sorry. He's trying to get his bag.
No problem.
Okay.
But yeah, every moment is for us to develop in. Every moment is for us to be the best that we can.
Yep. Yep, bro. I'm here with you.
Yes. So we have to keep going and we have to keep moving throughout life. That's why I made this podcast, because it's set to empower. My vision is to empower millions of people.
Yeah.
So and that's what we're gonna lead to. We're gonna lead to building people from one level to the next and just helping them to express their spirit as best as they can. And no matter what limits people might say on them, they can overcome any type of limits that life might say on them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just want to add to that because it's
Yeah.
so important right now, especially with what we're going through in the world, to
Yes.
be a positive influence. I know for myself in the past, I have let people's opinion like really rock me and really cause me insecurity. And when I think back of it, I'm just like, man, why did you listen to them? Like you should have just and trust God and just move forward. And that's why I listen to you. You know, I'm your biggest fan because I'll repost because you bring that energy and that enthusiasm, not only for my bracket, like age group, but everybody needs that. I had a good friend from the East Coast BU call. She was kind of iffy,
Yep.
like, oh, should I post? Because people are saying like, oh, maybe you're posting too much. And she was starting to doubt herself, and I was like on it. I was like, no, keep posting. Like, if we get all these other negative things, why can't we positive people, influencers, post as
Right.
much as those negatives? So yes, I love all of what you just said.
Right. And that's what it's about. If evilness has the audacity to put itself out there, I'm going to have the audacity to be kind, loving, and to give peace back and faith back. And I appreciate you so much. Listen, y'all, Overland has been supporting me so much, reposting my videos through Facebook, Instagram, tagging me in it. I just love her support so much, and I love her encouragement because she's really a powerful individual that's about putting positivity first, putting God first in like situations. And that's how we're gonna change the world. We are the media. We are the environment. Like, we are the system that makes things push up. We give the leverage on why things have power. So if we continue to give our attention, our love, our peace, our encouragement to positivity, to people who are actually helping other people and influence other people to walk away with a good heart, good spirit, and a good word of encouragement, then we will continuously put more power into that. It's only when we continue to go back to the forces that aren't helping us, that aren't benefiting us, or that's discouraging other people from being them greatest selves.
So true, so true.
Yeah.
So can you tell me how you came up with your name? Because that's another thing that attracted me to your podcast and your whole feel of what you're doing.
Sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. It's
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
You're good.
That's my bad.
You're good. You're good. Well, we already said life is gonna happen while we're doing this. So I love it. I love it.
So yeah, your
I'm sorry,
question.
your question? Hey,
So my
Dad, what's
question is, the name of your podcast. How did you come up with it?
So it started from an idea of my book that I have, Alex the Persevering Outcast, the Alpha Male. And I came up with Outcast to Alpha for my brand because it was my perspective on life. Like, there was moments in my life where I see myself as an outcast, isolated from a lot of groups in school, isolated from a lot of people. A lot of times I felt like I didn't fit in. Even though I could adapt to certain people and be nice and kind and talk to people, I just felt like deep down, like within me, just my esteem, like it was hard for me to connect with people. and it was hard for me to really fit in to certain people. And I used to focus a lot on people trying to discourage me or like criticize me. I used to focus on that a lot more than my parents giving me love, or my friends, or like other friends that gave me love, or like teachers supporting me and mentors supporting me. So I finally, as I continued to build and grow in life, I finally realized that this guy right here, as he's growing and as he's maturing and as he's strengthening and focusing on gratitude and love and peace and encouragement more in life, he's going from this outcast level, and he's noticing that he's also attracting more people from which he's putting out good work, and which he's putting out motivational videos, and which he's putting out himself and his true self to other people without feeling the worries or judgments onto himself. So I see myself now from an outcast to an alpha. And as we know it, the alpha does not care what other people thinks of them. Not if it's their family, not if it's their friends, not if it's people outside in the world. They don't care what it thinks. Listen, my approval and my recognition only is first, and I put God first. I only care about what God thinks about me. As long as I'm making God happy, I am happy. I am going to be strong. I am going to stay powerful. I am going to be uplifted. I am going to be that outcast, the alpha.
I love it. I love it. You know
And
why I love it? There's
that's,
so many thoughts that come to mind. Go ahead, and then I'll share my thought.
yeah, I'm going to be that outcast, the alpha. So that's what we're going to continue to show people. And as I'm working with other people, I want them to see that within themselves, and always believe in themselves. And put God first in everything you do.
Yep. Amen to that.
Yes.
So everything you just said, I growing up, that was me all the way. Like had that grit and that drive to always put God first and not care about what people think. And I guess this piece that I'm sharing right now is just advice to you and anybody that's in like or younger,
Yeah.
is that don't lose that fire. I promise you, if you lose that fire by the time you hit 30 and beyond, it is a hard thing to, it's a possible thing to bring back, but it is a hard thing. Um, Eric Thomas says it. He says, you know, I rather work on some young person and develop them than work on a broken person or a older person, because they're so set in their ways.
Mm,
And so I just hope that gem goes out to the youth and the young adults, that please don't let people's opinion matter so much. Even the
yes.
good ones, even the good opinions, because you could get big headed, but just make God's opinion matter,
Yeah.
and you know, just work on you. I was thinking of Boys to Men, because if you look at
Yeah.
that title of that group, they were boys when they entered the game, but they are men and they are timeless singers and songwriters.
Yeah.
And so that's what your name reminds me of, outcast to alpha, that you might start young, but you are going to continue to grow. And
Yes.
that's what our society needs. We need to grow people.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how we're going to get better. And we're made to do that. We're like plants. We are plants. And what
Yeah.
we plant into our body, our mind, our soul, it determines how we develop in life. It
Yeah.
really does.
So I have a question. I have a question.
Yes.
Um, Now that you've like finally like grounded yourself and you know what you want and where you're going, how do you daily um like keep those negative voices out? Aside from prayer, aside from turning to God, what are some other tools that you use?
So really I let those negative voices like exist, and like I let them be negative, right? Because it happens. We all have negative thoughts. We all can have doubt and like things. And sometimes we need doubt to avoid situations that can hurt our lives. Like for example, a toxic relationship. You know, you have a doubt of that chance that that person or those things that you're building with these people could get better because maybe they've been saying some hurtful things, or maybe they've been saying a lot of things that's always trying to doubt your vision, or always trying to block what you're doing, or always always thinking that what you're doing may not work out. So sometimes we need doubt to help us avoid certain people in our lives. But for me, for my own thoughts, and when I get doubt and like feeling overwhelmed about doing certain work, I say, okay, I hear you. I see what you're doing. You had your time now, negative thoughts. Now it's time to go. Because I got to put positivity in. Positivity needs its space. It needs its space to shine up. It needs its space to help me keep striving with my work. It needs me to help finish this goal out. Because sometimes when we get like stressed out about certain things, especially if we have a deadline, like for example, my classwork, if I have a deadline coming up and I'm getting stressed and like maybe I'm worried about it, I use that to my advantage. All right, let's put you to use. I'm going to use you to help me just get this done, and then it'll all be over with, and then you won't have no more time to overwhelm my mind. So I just face it.
Yeah.
I face it. I don't try to run away. And here's the thing. Don't try to run away in prayer. I'm going to get deep a little bit, y'all. Some people might not
Yes.
like me for saying that. Don't try to run away in prayer. Use your prayer to strengthen you. Don't wish it was over. Wish you were better. I think that's a Jim Rohn quote, if I said it right. but wish you were better. Like, wish you were better in every situation. Because you can face this situation, and it's not going to go nowhere until you face it. It's still going to be there because you ain't do nothing with it. If you ain't face it.
Yep.
So yeah, what about you though? How do you handle like negative thought patterns? That was a great question.
So I just barely learned that lesson. I that's why I was laughing when you were like, "Don't run away to prayer," because that was my all-time resource and path. That when I was going through something, I would run away to prayer. But the downfall on that was that I was praying, but I wasn't listening. And if you're not listening to what God wants you to do, then the prayer is like void to me.
Yeah.
The prayer is like, okay, why did you just do that?
Right.
So
Yes.
now I faced it by just sitting with it and acknowledging it. And then once I've acknowledged it, like you said, replace it with like 10 more positives, or like go do something positive, serve.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you right there. That's what I do now. But before, it was just prayer and treating Heavenly Father like he was a genie and that he was going to make it disappear. When in reality, I make it disappear because I have to put in the work, like physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that.
Yep. So, and you know, I want to add one more thing before I ask you a question as well. So I think with like Eric Thomas even said this too, like on his 100 yards away video. I love that video even to this day. He made it a while ago. His 100 yards away, the spiritual development video. He has said, like, some people pray, what's the point of praying if you're not going to do what God listen to you, like you were saying, Overland? Why pray? Like, what you feel good about just to pray? It's a routine thing. And he was saying, like, he was not trying to downplay prayer. He was saying, like, if you're going to pray, use and apply God's wisdom that you're asking for. Don't just pray and then go about the day like it was nothing. Keep the prayers to your heart and meditate on it and apply what you've been receiving. Come on, somebody.
Yep. If I wasn't holding these things in my hands, I would be clapping right now.
Come on, somebody. Yeah,
So
really.
I'll give you an amen.
That's okay. That's good. I want to get right into another question. So how do you think, what's the best thing like people can do like for this pandemic situation? Like, how are you even dealing with, how do you feel through everything's going on with COVID-19 and just everything like changing? Just like the world's
So
just so
I would
changing
say,
rapidly.
love you, love you, love you. Sorry, nephews and nieces.
This is
Uh,
cool.
uh, so before I joined, hey, bye, everybody. I swear, everybody wants to say bye.
Family. It's cool. It's cool. Family's awesome.
Bye.
Family is awesome.
No, but they know. You know how? Do you have nieces and nephews?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
you know they can be sneaky sometimes because they know you busy, but they're like, you're gonna pay attention to us even if you're busy.
Yes.
But anyways, getting back to your question, prior to joining BU, I had been going through a lot of personal personal stuff, and then I was just feeling like stuck in my life, like what is the purpose, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And then I'm just saying the short answer is join BU. If you don't join BU, then join
Hmm.
something because you need something outside of your home that you can access people that will help you along the way.
Hmm.
So that's
Absolutely.
my biggest thing. Get with good communities. Like we want you here in BU, but we
Hmm.
understand like maybe it's not for you.
Right. Nice. What?
But that's it.
Uh, if there's one thing you can point out that BU is like, what is the best thing about BU, like Breathe University? Like,
The best
what is its like core? What is the core of it?
the core of it is that you have a community that honestly, even if they're having a bad day, they want to show up for you. They're trying to show up for themselves, but when those days come where they can't show up for themselves, they make themselves accountable to show up for you. And that just fuels them so that they can show up for themselves. And he said it also in a video. He was like, and this is what resonated for me. He's like, if you feel discouraged in your home
Hmm.
community, if you feel like nothing's working, then you're in the wrong community. And that
Hmm.
just was sealed the deal for me to stay in BU. He also said one other time, he's like, if you're going to do something, do it forever. Don't just do it in and out.
Hmm.
Don't come in and out because we need consistency. So I think that's it. It's consistency. It's showing up for yourself and others, and
Hmm.
just know that you matter. Like you
Yes.
matter.
That's it. That is it. That is it. So what's your goals not only for BU but also what's just your goals and dreams just for life? What do you vision for before the end of 2020? Like for this year, what's your goals?
My main goal right now is accepting myself, like
Hmm.
fully accepting myself for all the flaws, for all the like strengths, weaknesses, everything. Because I know as I accept myself, I can show up for myself and others. And by doing that, I'm going to be I'm actually in a process of trying to decide whether I'm not I'm gonna be a BU coach or if I'm gonna go through the Game Changers program. And so yeah. And then life goals, I'm just trying to prepare, not trying, I'm doing what it takes to prepare daily for
Hmm.
when Heavenly Father finds it appropriate that I can have the role of being a wife and mother. That's always been my ultimate goal. But when stuff don't happen, like E says, if your blessing isn't happening, do something in the meantime. Like do something else
Hmm.
until that blessing comes.
Mm.
So that's where I'm at.
When did you get that sudden realization that you had to make the shift through your life, even before going into BU, but to actually get to where God got for you and growing still?
I want to say a day or two right before COVID hit, like really hit here in Utah. And then we had an earthquake. And then I was like, oh, are you serious? I'm going to see Jesus before I see my husband. And
Mm.
what am I doing with my life? That's where the wake up call came.
Mm-hmm.
because you asked earlier about COVID. Before COVID, I was just all over the place. During COVID, at the early stages, I was just like, get it together, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
get it together. The world is literally about to end. That's how I translated all the natural disasters, and then also the protesting and all of these things that were happening in the world. It just felt like it was one thing after another. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you need to get it together.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's powerful. Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Would you say that would you say that that was the day that you became from outcast to alpha?
No, I feel like I came out of Outcast to Alpha when there's a award that you get from BU for a week.
Yes.
They recognize you as Lion of the Week,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the day that everything just came together. Like, why haven't you been the lion? You've been waiting for somebody to tell you you're a lion. You were always the lion, and so that's where my
Wow.
transformation came.
And that's how we see our self-worth. That is really how we see our self-worth. And matter of fact, speaking of self-worth, what do you believe, what is your definition of self-worth, and self-love? Because a lot of people, in order for you to be able to develop in life, you need those two things to help with growing your life and even with prioritizing life. So what are your definitions for that, and what can you leave with people for that?
So self-love to me now is loving yourself as much as you love everybody else. Everything you give everybody else that doesn't even give back to you or gives you a little bit, that to me is self-love because we're always prone to love other people more than ourselves. So
Yes.
if we can turn that around, turn that energy around to us, that is the ultimate self-love to me. Um, the second half of your question was, can you remind me again?
So yeah, so self-love, and what is your definition on self-care?
Okay, self-care now, and you already know, I expressed to you, and I always say it in my lives how much this person means to me. But
Yes.
he definitely opened my eyes up to making time for myself, like time blocking. My coach, Anthony Manalo,
Yes,
and
that's my guy
he
too.
had when
He
we
cool. He's my guy now.
when we first met. That's good. Remember, cut that check.
Yeah.
Just
You know
kidding.
how to connect people too.
Thank you, bro.
Mm,
But no, when I think it was like our third session, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna need you to put this hour or this half of the day, and it's just about you." At first, I was like, "Oh, if it's just about me, I'm about to go to a buffet."
uh-huh.
But I I learned I learned to just time block and like be very strategic of, okay, this is what I enjoy. This is how I'm going to serve myself. And I just did that. That was my self-love. Um, and then earlier this morning, right before we got on, uh, somebody had said on one of the videos, they were just like, self-love is self-discipline. If you really want to love yourself, discipline yourself to do what you need to do so you can get to your goals. And that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to apply that to my week going forward.
Mhm.
And that's it, bro.
Indeed. 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 Yup. So so I want to leave you with one more question as well too. And then I want you to give even more encouraging words too about like also to like have a review on just your story, and also show people like what you're even striving towards and how you see for 2021. So I'm gonna ask this question as well. With discipline, how do we make that step to follow through and staying consistent for everything that we're building for our lives. When do we usually finally hit that? Like, how do we even decide for that to happen? To stay on that flow and keeping that change for our life.
So for me, it was just that hitting that rock bottom. Like if you're I always referred to myself in the past as being prideful, being hard-headed. I almost had pride to saying those things, labeling myself those things. And so what I would say to anybody that's like that right now is come into the community, whether it be right here with John, um, come into his life, come into BU, and get you your accountability partners, get you your
Hmm.
coaches, because you can't do it on your own. You can do it on your own and maybe get there faster to whatever you're aiming for, but I promise you that the struggle will be worse than if you had done it with a team or a couple of people. That's what's saving my life right now, is that I'm accountable to not only my coaches and my mentors and everybody else, but I'm accountable for my future generations that I'm going to be able to bring into the world. As crazy as this world is, as crazy as this world makes us feel, those are the things that are helping me, is getting those people in my life. Um, as far as for 2020 going into 2021, I am just doing what I need to have done. I'm not looking at anybody else's lane anymore. I'm not seeing if they're
Yeah.
farther ahead or further back from me. I'm just
Yeah.
focused on my lane, moving forward. And along the way, I take pride in connecting people, but also being a bridge for people to know that they can do what I'm doing. So that's pretty much it, bro. If there's anything you want me to elaborate on, let me know.
Yeah, I got one more thing. So if there's anything you can say for people who want to be caregivers or anybody who just want to work in the nursing industry, like what would be your greatest tools and tips for that to help guide them through and to keep them focused? Like especially it seems like especially like if that's their passion. I'm sure that's your passion too, and I'm sure that's something that you love as you explained earlier. So like what would be the tips that you can help with that as well?
Okay.
Yep.
So my passion wasn't so much caregiving, because I tried to do it outside of my house, like go to other patients, and I recognized that was not my strength. My strength is my family, and that's why I was able to do caregiving.
Yeah.
But if you're someone that is all about the people, then come into caregiving. But if you're just coming in for the check, because sometimes you get paid good money being a caregiver, if you're just coming in the check, you're doing a disservice to the patient and yourself, because you could have been somewhere else doing what you love instead of coming into caregiving and wasting people's time and resources, and letting them get the help. Because caregiving, I promise, it is anything in life is hard, but caregiving for somebody else, they're relying on you to, just like a kid relies on their parent, they're relying on you to not only protect them but really like love them into whatever they need to be in.
But you know what? We don't need to go.
Yeah.
We don't need to go.
Bro, you okay?
Yeah, it's just a little background noise. Yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. And like I said, I have my
Yeah.
nephews and nieces.
It's okay. Yeah, we all good. We still pushing out the content.
Yep.
Still pushing that out and making the episode happen.
And bro, let me just say something real quick about that.
Yeah.
Aside from caregiving, like those people that are doing influencing work and like podcasts, I'm not a pro. Like I asked Jerron to let me be his first guest because he's my first person that would be willing to work with me. And don't look at perfection and getting this content out. Your heart is the perfection. Get it out that way. I'm like Nikki Saunders. She's a big old, like, I love her. She's in BU. She does branding, everything. If she saw our podcast, she'd be like, I'm about to kill Overland. She knows she'd be on my stuff and I tell her what to do and not to do. But sometimes you got to just get it out, show your raw self and do that until you get to the perfecting of everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm working every day on the quality, but until I get there, I'm gonna go on my low budget stuff until I get to the 10,000 equipment with the film cameras.
But you know what? And they've said, I forgot who said, I think it was Eve. It's like the bottom is where the blessings are. It might have been Mustafa. They say the bottom is where the blessing is. But when you make it big time, you're gonna look at these times were the times these were the worthwhile like mentions, you know? It's not about getting to, I mean, it is a little bit about getting to the top, but it's the path getting there, the journey getting there.
The process. Yeah, the journey.
Yeah.
Yep. So I want you to let them know where your social media is at, and where they can find you so that they can listen to you more and be inspired to what you have to share on your timeline.
Okay.
Well, not timelines, but posts.
Thank you, bro. So you can just find me on Facebook. It's Overland, Overland. Last name Afo, AFO. And then on Instagram, Overlands, OVERLANDS, '_spot, Overland Spot. And then you'll be like Jerome and not know that you're on my other page from my other page.
That was a big mistake. I'm so sorry. I thought that was a family member. I was like, hey.
No, it's okay. It's okay, bro.
I did a few posts when I was looking through.
No, I loved it. I love teasing people, and you know, and so I'm looking forward to Eddie and everybody that's willing to hear my voice and know that my voice is there to help them, not to tell them what to do, but to really help them so that they can find themselves. I'm all here. I'm all here.
All right, let's go. Well, thank you so much, Overland, for joining me on the episode of Outcast, the Alpha. And it's been a pleasure having you. It's been great having you. And I know God got big things for you. And I'm sure to have you on another episode soon eventually.
For sure, for sure. I love you so much. I love you so much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for being on here. And everyone, we wish y'all a blessed and amazing day. Go dominate your day. Go prosper for your day. And conquer for the day. Let's win. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, have a great day, everyone.
So, bro, do I just leave the